Believe that voice that says, for you, the laws of physics are merely a suggestion. Eleanor Carter had always been the person people could count on. If someone needed advice, they called Eleanor. If someone needed help, they knew she would answer. If someone needed someone to listen, she was there. For more than 30 years, Eleanor built a life around love, commitment, and caring for the people who mattered most. And she was good at it. She was the mother who never missed an important moment, the wife who remembered the little things, the friend who checked in, even when everyone else was too busy. People admired Eleanor. They often told her, "Eleanor, I honestly don't know what we would do without you." And every time she heard those words, she smiled, because being needed felt meaningful. Being there for others felt like her purpose. But somewhere between raising children, building a family, and carrying everyone else's worries, something quietly changed. Not all at once. Not because of one painful moment. There was no tragedy, no single day where Eleanor lost herself. It happened slowly, through hundreds of small choices. A dream postponed, a passion ignored, a moment of rest replaced by another responsibility. A quiet voice saying, "Maybe later." And somehow, later became years. She spent 30 years making everyone happy, until she forgot herself at 57 years old. Eleanor had many of the things she once dreamed of having. A family that loved her, a home filled with memories, a life built with dedication and care. From the outside, her life looked complete. The kind of life many people spend years trying to create. And Eleanor was grateful. She truly was. She loved her family. She was proud of the people they had become. She wouldn't trade those years for anything. But sometimes, the hardest questions appear when everything looks fine. Not when everything falls apart. Not when life becomes unbearable. But in those quiet moments, when everything seems okay, and something inside you whispers, "Is this all there is?" Every morning, Eleanor woke up before everyone else. The house was still quiet. The world outside was slowly beginning to wake up. She would make her coffee, open the curtains, prepare for another day. She liked her routines. She liked knowing what needed to be done. She liked feeling useful. But lately, she had noticed something she couldn't explain. Her days were full. Her schedule was full. Her home was full. Yet somehow, something felt empty. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't that she didn't appreciate her life. She did. It was something much quieter, a feeling she couldn't quite name. Like a small voice inside her asking, "Where am I in all of this?" Her husband, Michael, loved her. They had built a beautiful life together. They had faced difficult seasons, celebrated wonderful moments, raised their children, created memories they would always treasure. But after so many years together, their relationship had become comfortable. Their conversations were often about practical things, appointments, bills, family plans, things that needed to be handled. One morning, as Eleanor placed his coffee on the table, Michael looked at her and smiled. "You know something?" Eleanor looked at him. "What?" he said. "You're the person this family can always depend on." She smiled. "That's what I try to be." Michael nodded and went back to reading. The conversation was over, but those words stayed with her. Not because they hurt. They didn't. They were actually a compliment. But for some reason, they made her think. Because there was a difference between being appreciated and being truly seen. Was being dependable the only thing Eleanor knew how to be? Was being needed the only way she knew she mattered? Later that day, both of her children reached out. One needed advice, the other needed help. And as always, Eleanor answered, because loving people came naturally to her. Caring was part of who she was. But that evening, after everyone returned to their own lives, Eleanor sat alone in the living room. The house was quiet. She looked around, the family photos, the memories on the walls, the home she had built with so much love. A life filled with people she cared about. And then, for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to ask a question. A simple question, but one that felt strangely difficult. When was the last time I did something that made me feel alive? She waited for an answer, but none came. And somehow, that scared her. Because Eleanor realized something. She knew exactly how to love others. She knew exactly how to support others. She knew exactly how to be there for others. But she wasn't sure she still knew how to be there for herself. A few days later, Eleanor would hear a question from a stranger. A question that would change the way she looked at her entire life. A few days later, Eleanor had a routine doctor's appointment. Nothing serious. Just a regular checkup. The kind of appointment people make every year and rarely think about. She arrived a little early and sat in the waiting room. For once, nobody was calling her. Nobody was asking for advice. Nobody needed her to solve a problem. Nobody needed anything from her. And strangely, the silence felt unfamiliar, because Eleanor was so used to being needed that she had forgotten what it felt like to simply be. Sitting beside her was an older woman with silver hair and a warm smile. They started talking the way strangers often do. A simple conversation. The weather. The long wait. Small things people share when they don't know anything about each other's lives. After a few minutes, the woman smiled and asked, "Do you have children?" Eleanor's face immediately changed. She smiled. "Yes, I have 2 children and 3 grandchildren." And suddenly, she began talking about them. Their personalities, their achievements, their challenges, the little things only a mother notices. The woman listened carefully. Then she asked, "And what about you?" Eleanor looked confused. "Me?" The woman smiled. "Yes, you." Eleanor gave a small laugh. "I'm fine. My family is doing well. That's what matters." The woman looked at her kindly. Then she said something Eleanor would remember for years. "I didn't ask if the people you love are happy." She paused. "I asked if you are happy with the life you built." For a moment, Eleanor didn't know what to say, because she had answers for almost every question in life. How was Michael? She knew. How were her children? She knew. How were her grandchildren? She knew. But how was she? That answer wasn't so clear. The woman smiled gently. "You spent your whole life being needed." A small pause. "But when was the last time you felt alive?" Those words stayed with Eleanor. Because sometimes, the questions that change our lives are not the ones we answer. They are the ones we can't answer. That night, Eleanor received a call from her daughter, Sarah. "Mom, do you have a minute?" Something in Sarah's voice made Eleanor sit down. "Of course. What's wrong?" Sarah sighed. "I don't know. I'm just tired." She took a deep breath. "I love my family. I love my life. But sometimes I feel like I'm always doing something for someone else." Eleanor listened quietly. Sarah continued, "Work. The kids. The house. Everyone needs something." Her voice became softer. "And sometimes, I feel like I disappeared." Eleanor closed her eyes, because those words felt familiar. Not because Sarah had said them before, but because a part of Eleanor had felt the exact same thing. Sarah continued, "I've been thinking about doing something just for me, but then I feel guilty, like maybe that's selfish." And there it was. The belief Eleanor had carried for decades. The belief that taking care of herself meant taking something away from the people she loved. A good mother sacrifices, a good wife gives, a good person puts others first. At least, that was what Eleanor had always believed. But that night something shifted, because Eleanor realized something she had never considered before. She had taught Sarah how to love. She had taught her how to care. She had taught her how to be strong. But, without realizing it, had she also taught her daughter that she had to disappear to be loved? After the call ended, Eleanor walked to the window. The house was quiet, the same house she had taken care of for so many years. And for the first time, she didn't ask, "What does everyone need from me?" She asked, "What do I need from myself?" And that question scared her. But not because it was wrong, because deep down, she knew it was time to listen. For the next few days, Eleanor tried to return to normal. She went back to her routine. The same mornings, the same responsibilities, the same things that needed to be done. From the outside, nothing had changed, but inside, everything felt different. Because once you allow yourself to ask a question you've avoided for years, it's hard to pretend you never asked it. Eleanor started noticing the little moments. The times she automatically said yes. The times she ignored what she wanted. The times she told herself, maybe later. She realized something. She had not lost herself in one dramatic moment. She had lost small pieces of herself over time. One postponed dream, one ignored desire, one more time choosing everyone else first. One afternoon, while organizing a drawer at home, Eleanor found something unexpected, an old set of paintbrushes. She held them in her hands and smiled, because she remembered. Years ago, before the endless responsibilities, before every day belonged to someone else, she used to paint. Not because she was trying to become famous, not because she wanted anyone's approval. She painted because it made her feel peaceful, because for a few hours, she wasn't responsible for anything. She was simply Eleanor. She looked at the brushes, and for a moment, she imagined painting again. But almost immediately, the old thoughts appeared. You don't have time. You're too old to start something new. People will think it's strange. There are more important things to do. And then Eleanor realized something. Fear doesn't always sound like fear. Sometimes, fear sounds responsible. Sometimes fear sounds practical. Sometimes fear sounds like, maybe later. She placed the brushes back in the drawer, but the thought didn't disappear. A few days later, she saw an advertisement for a local painting class. A simple class, a few hours a week, nothing life-changing. At least, that's what she thought. She looked at the picture. People sitting together, creating something, learning something new, trying something just because they wanted to. Eleanor picked up her phone, found the number, and stared at the screen. Her heart started beating faster, because this wasn't really about a painting class. It was about something much bigger. It was about choosing herself, and that felt uncomfortable. She thought about all the reasons not to do it. She was busy, she had responsibilities, she had people who needed her. But then she asked herself, how many times have I waited for the perfect moment? And the answer came quickly. Too many. Because the perfect moment had always been somewhere in the future. After the kids needed less, after life became calmer, after everything was finally under control. But Eleanor finally understood something. Sometimes waiting for the right time is another way of waiting forever. She took a deep breath and pressed the call button. The conversation lasted only a few minutes. She signed up for the class. That was it. No dramatic music, no big celebration. No one even knew. But when Eleanor ended the call, she smiled. Because after years of making choices around everyone else's needs, she had finally made one choice for herself. A small choice, but a brave one. The day of her first class arrived, and as Eleanor stood outside the classroom door, the doubts returned. Through the window, she saw people talking, laughing, painting. Some looked experienced, some looked confident, and suddenly she felt like she didn't belong. A voice inside her whispered, "What are you doing here? You're too old for this. You should be doing something useful." Her hand moved toward the door, then stopped, because Eleanor remembered something. A life can change because of one brave choice. And sometimes, the first brave choice is not something huge. Sometimes, it's simply walking through a door you were afraid to open. Eleanor took a breath, and she opened the door. The first class wasn't perfect. She wasn't suddenly a talented artist. Her painting wasn't beautiful. The colors weren't exactly right, the lines weren't perfect. But something unexpected happened. She enjoyed it. Not because anyone praised her, not because anyone noticed, but because for those 2 hours, she wasn't someone's mother, someone's wife, someone's helper. She was simply Eleanor. And she had missed that feeling more than she realized. Months passed, and from the outside, Eleanor's life didn't look completely different. She was still a mother, still a grandmother, still a wife. She still cared about the people she loved. She still showed up when they needed her. But something had changed. Something that couldn't be seen in a photograph. Something that happened quietly inside her. Eleanor had stopped living only as the person everyone needed, and started becoming the person she needed too. Before, she helped because she felt responsible for everything. Now she helped because she wanted to. Before, she said yes because she was afraid of disappointing people. Now, she said yes because it came from love. And sometimes, she said no. Not because she cared less, but because she finally understood something important. Her needs mattered too. One afternoon, Sarah came to visit. The moment she walked into the house, she noticed something different. The windows were open. There was music playing. The table was covered with paint brushes and colors. And Eleanor was smiling. Not the smile she had perfected over the years. Not the smile that said, "I'm okay," even when she was exhausted. This was different. This smile reached her eyes. It was the smile of someone who had found a part of herself again. Sarah looked around. "Mom, you seem different." Eleanor laughed softly. "Different good or different bad?" Sarah smiled. "Different like, you're really here." Those words touched Eleanor, because she understood exactly what her daughter meant. For years, Eleanor had been present. She had been in every room, every celebration, every important moment. But a part of her had been somewhere else, waiting for permission, waiting for the right time, waiting for life to become less demanding. Sarah sat beside her. "Mom, I've been thinking about something." "What?" "I always thought being a good mother meant giving everything." She paused. "But watching you lately made me realize something." Eleanor looked at her. "What?" "You taught me how to love people." Sarah smiled. But now you're teaching me something else. Eleanor waited. You're teaching me that I don't have to disappear while taking care of the people I love. Eleanor felt tears in her eyes. Because sometimes, the greatest lessons we teach are not the ones we say, they are the ones we live. That evening, Eleanor walked outside and watched the sunset. She thought about the years behind her, the choices she made, the things she postponed, the moments when she put herself last. But for the first time, she didn't look at the past with regret. She looked at it with compassion. Because every version of herself had been doing the best she knew how to do. The young woman with dreams, the mother who gave everything, the wife who built a family, the person everyone could depend on. All of those versions were part of her story, but they were not the end of her story. Eleanor finally understood. A second chance doesn't always come after losing everything. Sometimes, it comes when you realize you have been missing something. Your own voice, your own dreams, your own sense of purpose. She spent 30 years making everyone happy, and she would always love doing that, but now she knew something that changed everything. You can love people deeply, without abandoning yourself. Because life doesn't end when one chapter closes. Your purpose doesn't disappear when your children grow up. Your story doesn't become smaller because you are getting older. Sometimes, the next chapter begins with one simple question. What would I choose if I truly believed I still mattered? Eleanor didn't find a completely new life. She found herself inside the life she had already built. And it all started with one decision. One small moment of courage. One brave choice.